She promised her new job was a fresh start for us. But when her boss's name started showing up on her phone at 2 a.m., I knew the start was for them, and I was the ending. If you want to hear how this ends, hit that subscribe button and drop a like. It helps the channel more than you know. Now, let's get into it. The day Mia got the job, she came through the front door like a wrecking ball made of champagne and good news. I was in my home office deep in a data set, and I didn't even hear her until she was wrapped around my chair, kissing the top of my head. They bit, Leo. Full offer, senior marketing strategist. The equity package is insane. I swiveled the chair, grabbed her waist, and pulled her into my lap. Told you they would. They'd be idiots not to. I kissed her, and she tasted like the expensive mints she only buys for interviews. This calls for the good stuff. That night, I made the reservation at a steakhouse we couldn't really afford. We split a bottle of Cabernet that cost more than my first car. She was electric, talking a mile a minute about disrupting the space, synergy, and pre-IPO. Her new boss, Julian, was apparently a certified genius who'd poached her from her old, boring firm. He's just so driven, Leo. He sees the whole board. It's not just a job, it's a movement. I was proud. Genuinely. I'm a data analyst. I work from home. I live in spreadsheets. And my life is a predictable, stable line graph. Mia was the color, the chaos. Her winning felt like my winning. I paid the bill, my credit card wincing, and thought, this is it. This is the next chapter. The first 2 weeks, she was a ghost in a new suit. She'd come home long after I'd eaten, her brain still buzzing. She'd drop her bag, a new, ridiculously expensive one Julian's assistant had expensed for her, and talk while scrolling through emails. Julian loved my deck. He called me a shark. Julian is taking the whole team to a rooftop bar tonight. Don't wait up. I'm not a jealous guy. I'm a logical guy. I trust patterns, and the pattern was changing. The first data point that didn't fit the model was the phone. Mia's phone and my phone were community property. We used whichever one was closer. Suddenly her new phone, the one the company paid for, was always face down on the counter. Like a sleeping animal, I wasn't allowed to poke. One Tuesday, I was making pasta. I'd opened a good bottle of red. 7 p.m., 8 p.m. At 8:30, I texted, "Everything good?" Instant reply, "So sorry, swamped. Julian is having us rework the whole Q4 launch. Grab something for yourself." So, I looked at the pot of boiling water. I looked at the salad I'd already tossed. I put the pasta back in the box, poured myself a glass of wine, and ate a bowl of cereal over the sink. She came home at 11:45 p.m. She didn't smell like the office. The office smells like stale coffee and carpet cleaner. She smelled like sandalwood and expensive gin. God, I'm exhausted, she sighed, throwing her keys in the bowl. Tough night? I asked, rinsing my cereal bowl. You have no idea. Julian is a machine. He doesn't stop. Sounds rough. She paused, looking at me like she was trying to remember a password. You're good, right? I know this is a lot. It's the startup life. You get it, I nodded. I get it. Don't let the pasta boil over. The first real crack appeared a week later. My brother Kevin was throwing his annual backyard BBQ. It's a sacred day. Kegs, ribs, kids in a sprinkler. It's our thing. I'd had it on our shared calendar for 2 months. Hey, don't forget we gotta leave for Kevin's around noon on Saturday, I said, topping off my coffee. She didn't look up from her laptop. Oh, crap, I can't. What do you mean you can't? It's the BBQ. Julian is taking the senior team on a leadership retreat. It's mandatory. Trust falls or whatever. A mandatory retreat on a Saturday. Mia, come on. She finally looked up and her eyes were cold. It was a look I hadn't seen before. What do you want me to say, Leo? This is my career. Kevin's flipping burgers. Julian is finalizing our Series B funding. It's not the same league. It stung. Not just the insult to my brother, but the not the same league part. Like I was suddenly playing minor league ball while she was in the majors. Right, I said. Well, have fun with the trust falls. I went to the BBQ alone. Kevin, bless him, just handed me a beer and slapped my back. She on the new job grind? Yeah, I said, watching his kid try to spray the dog with a hose. The grind. That Saturday night I was watching a game when her text came in. This is actually really fun. Team is amazing. We're all just vibing at Julian's lake house. A picture came through. Mia, a little blurry, laughing with her head thrown back. A man's arm was draped over her chair. On his wrist, an obscenely large silver watch I recognized from the steak dinner. Julian. I looked at the picture for a long time. I zoomed in. I analyzed the composition, her front and center. Him, casually staking a claim. The others in the background out of focus. This wasn't a team photo. It was a portrait. I'm a data analyst. I don't act on emotion. I act on information. And I needed more information. I went to my office and sat at my station. Our finances were linked. Credit cards checking, the mortgage. I opened the shared credit card account. I wasn't snooping. I was auditing the team dinners on Tuesdays. Charges from a high-end French place called L'Étoile. Always a table for two. The lunches with the girls from her old firm. A charge from a boutique hotel downtown, the Viceroy. Room service twice. Ubers. So many Ubers. Not from the office to home. From the office to a zip code across town I didn't recognize, and then home an hour later. The pattern was no longer changing. The pattern was set. I opened a new encrypted spreadsheet on a drive she didn't know existed. I named it Project Exit. I started dumping the data. Dates, times, amounts, locations. I created columns for stated alibi and factual transaction. The discrepancy was impressive. I heard her car door slam around 1 a.m. I minimized the spreadsheet. She came into the office, still flushed from the lake air, or maybe the gin. "Hey, you're up late," she said, leaning against the doorframe. "Just finishing some work," I said, staring at my clean, organized monitor. She smiled, that bright, breathless smile that I used to think meant us. "You're the best, Leo, so steady. I couldn't do any of this without you." I smiled back. "I know." She blew me a kiss and went to the bedroom. I waited until I heard the shower turn on. I pulled the spreadsheet back up. I added a new entry, date, 10/25, event, team retreat, stated alibi, Trust Falls, strategy, factual transaction, lake house photo, intimate context. I looked at the growing rows of data. She called me steady. She was right. She called Julian a genius. She was wrong. He was sloppy. And she was reckless. This wasn't a marriage ending. This was a data set reaching statistical significance. And I was going to make damn sure I was the one who controlled the final report. The next 3 weeks I became the husband of the year. I was a ghost in my own house, but a useful one. I handled the laundry. I made sure the fridge was stocked with the expensive sparkling water she suddenly couldn't live without. I made dinners I knew she wouldn't eat, packing them away in Tupperware with a supportive little note for her lunch the next day. I was steady. I was predictable. I was the reliable, boring infrastructure that allowed her new, high-speed life to function. She ate it up. The less I asked where she was, the brighter she smiled when she saw me. The guilt was eating at her, but my support was the antacid. It neutralized it. She stopped smelling like gin and sandalwood. Now she smelled like expensive perfume, L'air du Soir, a scent I knew for a fact I hadn't bought her. "You're just the best, Leo," she said one night, kissing my cheek as she breezed past me. I was wiping down the granite countertop. She was dressed for a late-night deck review. It was 9 p.m. on a Friday. Her dress was black, tight, and had 0 pockets for a presentation clicker. "Just want to make sure you're covered, hun," I said, smiling. "Go kill it. Don't worry about anything here." The second she was gone, I went to my office. Project Exit was becoming my masterpiece. I'm a data guy. I set up our entire home network. The router, the smart devices, the shared cloud, that was all me. Mia wasn't a tech person. She just wanted her devices to sync. So I synced them. A few days prior, I'd told her I was running a network security update. "Just want to make sure your new work stuff is secure," I'd said. Julian wouldn't want any data leaks. She'd handed me her phone and laptop without a second glance. "Good thinking, babe. You're so smart." It took me 10 minutes. I set up a low-level invisible script that routed a copy of every iMessage, every photo, and every calendar entry straight to a secure, encrypted server partition only I knew existed. Now, my spreadsheet had tabs. The Transactions tab was already full. The Calendar tab was where it got interesting. Her public calendar, the one shared with me, was full of team syncs and strategy sessions. Her private work calendar, the one synced from her phone, had different entries for the same time slots. Strategy session at 8 p.m. was actually J dinner at L'Étoile. Team building off-site was Lake House, weekend. And my personal favorite, multiple 4 p.m. entries on Tuesdays and Thursdays labeled simply Viceroy. Not even a pretense of work. just the name of the hotel. Then there was the Messages tab. I had to take a breath. It felt like walking into my own house and finding it burned to the ground. Julian, Q4 projections are looking soft. Need you on this. Mia, I'm on it. I'll handle the numbers. You just handle me. Mia, Leo's asking about the BBQ at his brother's. God, it's so small town. Julian, tell him you're building an empire. He'll get it, or he won't. Doesn't matter. Mia, I'm home. He's fine. He made me pasta. Julian, did he cut it into little shapes for you too? Mia, don't be mean. He's steady. It's what I needed before. Julian, I'm not steady, Shark. I'm next. Don't forget it. And the pictures. Selfies from the lake house, her wearing his watch and a t-shirt. Pictures from the Viceroy hotel room. Champagne glasses in the foreground, the unmade bed behind them. It was a complete documented timeline of my marriage's dissolution. I closed the file. I felt nothing. The anger was gone. The hurt was a dull, cold blue pilot light. What I felt was clarity. I wasn't a husband anymore. I was an auditor. And I'd just found massive systemic fraud. My revenge wasn't going to be a screaming match. I wasn't going to throw his watch in her face or forward the emails. That was emotional. That was messy. That was small town. No, her whole life was this job. Her equity, her pre-IPO, her genius boss. She'd traded me for a movement, so I was going to burn the entire movement to the ground. I spent the next 2 days doing a different kind of data mining. I researched her company, Innovate.io. I researched their board of directors, their angel investors, and their Series B funding partners. They were all buttoned up old money venture capital firms. They were not disruptors. They were bankers. And bankers hate two things: bad numbers and bad press. I found the company's S-1 filing and their public HR policy manual. And there it was in black and white. Section 4B, Fraternization and Ethics. A relationship between a senior executive, Julian, and a direct subordinate, Mia, is strictly prohibited as it creates an actionable conflict of interest and exposes the firm to significant legal liability. This wasn't just cheating. It was a corporate time bomb. I started a new folder on my server, the package. I began drafting an anonymous email. I attached the hotel folios from the Viceroy, charged to the company card. I attached the texts, not the ones about me, but the ones proving the timeline of the relationship. I attached the photos from the lake house, metadata intact. I was building a case. Julian wasn't just a genius. He was a liability who was spending company money on his affair. And Mia wasn't a shark. She was the evidence. To blow it all up, I needed one last thing. I needed to tie it all together. I needed them in my house. The optics of that were just too perfect. So I set the trap. That Monday, I found Mia in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, that little half smile on her face. "Hey," I said, leaning against the counter. "My brother Kevin is finally redoing his deck. He's a disaster, you know how he is. I was thinking of driving up there this weekend, Friday through Sunday. Give him a hand, swing a hammer. Just get out of the city." Her eyes lit up, but she tried to hide it. "Oh, wow, a whole weekend?" "Yeah, you know, bro time. You'll be okay, right? With the big launch?" She walked over and gave me a real hug. "The first one in a month. Babe, that's so sweet. Of course, you deserve a break. Don't worry about me. I'll probably just be working." "I know," I said, hugging her back. "I know you will." I started packing a bag in the bedroom. A duffel bag, old jeans, work boots, a few t-shirts. I was the very picture of the steady husband going to help his brother. She was already on her phone, walking into the other room. I heard her voice drop to a low, excited murmur. "Hey, so, funny story. Leo's going to be out of town this weekend." I zipped the bag. The trap was set. The data points were all lining up, and I was ready to run the final model. I left Friday at 4 p.m. right on the dot. I gave Mia a long, convincing kiss goodbye at the door. "Have a good weekend," I said. "Don't work too hard." "You too," she said, her eyes already distant, probably planning her night. "Say hi to Kevin for me." "Will do." I threw my duffel in the back of my 4Runner, waved, and drove off. I went 2 blocks, turned right, and parked in the public garage of the hospital. My bro weekend was a lie. I wasn't going to Kevin's. I was going to the Residence Inn 2 miles from my own house, a place with sterile rooms, free breakfast, and fast anonymous Wi-Fi. I checked in under a prepaid reservation I'd made with a burner credit card. My real work had been done the night before, while Mia was sleeping, that deep, exhausted sleep of someone running 2 lives. I did my final network security update. We had smart home security cameras, 4 of them. 1 at the front door, 1 on the back deck, 1 in the kitchen, and 1 in the main living room. They were supposed to be for peace of mind. I'd always had admin control. That night, I rerouted the live feeds to a private encrypted IP address. I also activated the audio capture feature, a function we'd never needed before. I set up my laptop in the hotel room. The feed was crystal clear. My living room, my kitchen, my front door, all sharp, high-def, and streaming directly to me. I was a god in my own machine. At 6:15 p.m., my phone buzzed. A calendar notification from Mia's private calendar, the one she thought I couldn't see. Event, J, home base, location, my address. Time, 7:00 p.m. She wasn't even going to wait. The disrespect was so clean it was almost beautiful. I ordered a pizza to the hotel room, cracked open a mediocre beer from the mini fridge, and sat back. The analyst at his station, waiting for the data to pour in. At 7:02 p.m., the front door camera lit up. Mia. She was wearing the black dress from the other night. She checked her hair in the hallway mirror. At 7:05 p.m., a car I didn't recognize, a low-slung, obnoxious electric Porsche, pulled into my driveway. Julian got out. He was carrying a briefcase and a bottle of champagne. The living room camera feed clicked on. I watched him walk in like he owned the place. He didn't just own her. He was beta testing owning my life. He kissed her, a long, slow-motion kiss that made my stomach turn, but I didn't look away. This wasn't emotion. This was evidence. He's really gone? Julian asked, his voice tinny but clear over the audio feed. Gone. Till Sunday night. His brother is a complete caveman. They're probably grunting and building a fire. Julian laughed. Good, let the caveman play. The adults are here. He put the champagne on my granite countertop. Where are the good glasses? Not those thick ones you guys use, she laughed. I know just the ones. They were in my living room for 3 hours. They drank the champagne. They talked about the launch. They talked about the board. He called her his shark again. She called him her genius. They laughed about how steady and clueless I was. He's just so predictable, she said, her voice a little slurry from the champagne. It's sweet, but God, it's boring. Boring as a cage shark, Julian said. You're not meant for a cage. Then they moved from the couch out of the camera's frame toward the bedroom. I didn't need to see that. I had what I needed. The audio was enough. The visual of them in my house plotting was everything. I hit record, saved the entire 3-hour file, and backed it up. Twice. I opened the package. I was methodical. I created a clean, simple PDF. Page 1, an executive summary. Anonymous, professional. To the board of Innovate.io and its investment partners, a significant executive liability has been identified. Page 2, the text messages. The ones proving the relationship's timeline and the direct violation of the company's fraternization policy. Page 3, the hotel folios from the Viceroy. Multiple stays, charged to the corporate card. Explicit fraud. Page 4, the photos. The lake house, him, her, his watch. Page 5, a link to a private, password-protected video stream. Title, Julian's Home Base Strategy Session 1028. The password was Innovate.io Ethics. I attached the PDF. I opened a new secure email client. The to-line was a work of art. I'd scraped the emails from LinkedIn and investor reports. 2. Head of the board, CEO, CFO, head of HR, managing partner, Series B VC fund, senior partner, angel investor group. BCC, a tech reporter I knew who specialized in startup scandals. Subject, urgent and confidential. Actionable liability and misuse of corporate funds. Julian, last name. I typed one sentence in the body. All relevant documentation is attached for your immediate review. I trust you will act accordingly to protect the interests of your shareholders. I hit send. Then I turned off my laptop, brushed my teeth, and went to bed. I slept like a dead man. I drove home Sunday afternoon. I got a text from Mia around 2 p.m. Hey, you on your way back? Can't wait to see you. The sudden affection was nauseating. I didn't reply. When I pulled into the driveway at 5:30 p.m., her car was there, but the house was dead silent. I walked in. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Stale champagne and l'air du soir. The 2 good champagne flutes were in the sink, washed but not put away. She was sitting on the couch in the living room in sweatpants. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were red-rimmed and puffy. She looked like she hadn't slept in 48 hours. She hadn't been to work. She stood up when she saw me. "Leo," she whispered. I just looked at her. I didn't say a word. I set my duffel bag down. "Leo, something happened." "Oh?" I said, walking to the kitchen. I opened the fridge and took out a bottle of water. "At work, it's Julian. They fired him this morning. A morals clause violation. They fired me too." "Damn," I said, twisting the cap. "That's rough." "The whole team?" "No." Her voice cracked. Just me. They said I was complicit in corporate fraud and creating a hostile work environment. They're voiding my equity, Leo. They're talking about suing me." She was sobbing now, the full-body, ugly kind of cry. "Someone sent an email to the board with everything. Texts, pictures, from the lake house. From the viceroy. They even knew he was here." I took a long drink of water. I looked at her, this stranger in my living room, her entire movement turned to ash. "Here?" I asked, feigning confusion. Why would Julian be here? Her face went from panic to a sick, dawning horror. She finally saw me. Not the steady husband. Not the boring analyst. She saw the man at the terminal who'd just run the program. "You," she breathed. "It was you. You knew." I didn't smile. I didn't yell. I just nodded. "You called me predictable, Mia. You were right. I am. You're a shark. Sharks are all teeth, no brain. They bleed out just like everything else. But why? You could have just yelled at me. You could have left." "That's messy," I said, walking to my office and closing the door. "That's emotional. I prefer a clean data set." I sat at my desk and opened Project Exit. I moved all the files, the spreadsheet, the audio, the video, the package, into a final zipped folder. I titled it Liability Neutralized. Then I dragged the whole thing into the trash and permanently erased it. I was done.